Great is not right, it's wrong. But how can it be wrong, right? Because everyone tells you that Allahu Akbar just means God is great. So many Muslims tell that to you in the West, so many other people tell you, so many people who want to
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to yet another episode of this series where we will respond to yet another video from the Apostate prophets.
She also did what Islamic terrorists usually do. She shouted Allahu Akbar and stabbed 2 people.
AP starts by overemphasizing Islamic terrorists and their usage of Allahu Akbar, creating a false mental link between a common phrase used by Muslims all around the world, a phrase which is used by most Muslims on a day such as Eid. One can only wonder if he's doing this purposefully or if he's being ignorant.
At a supermarket in southern France. When you look at this tweet, it sounds to me like some random woman is dancing around in France, getting emotional and poetically crying, "God is great," and then accidentally injures people with a box cutter that she had in her hands for artistic reasons, of course. Use "God is great" instead of Allahu Akbar, which every Western person is familiar with by now. And what is crying? We shouldn't immediately think of Islamic terrorism, because that might encourage Islamophobic sentiments.
AP dives into the topic using a simple tweet from the Associated Press. AP seems to take issue with the Associated Press's usage of the translated version of Allahu Akbar, which is God is great. He goes on in a very peculiar way to frame the tweet. For him, there is a huge problem here that needs to be addressed, and that problem is that the Associated Press used the translation of the phrase Allahu Akbar, but they got it totally wrong.
Mean God. The word for God, as in deity, is ilah in Arabic. We could go through the etymology, we could open dictionaries to see what it means, but we could also just pick something Islamic and see what it means. Sense at all, right? If you look at this Islamic creed, the word used for God, as in deity, is ilah, and the word used for Allah is Allah. Allah is actually a proper name for the God of Islam. It actually comes from al-ilah, which means the God. It changes into Allah and comes into Arabic as Allah. Muhammad and Muslims didn't invent this word. They actually took that word Allah from pre-Islamic groups like Arab Christians, who rather used the word God instead of mentioning God by his name.
We do need to applaud AP for being voracious about the roots of the word Allah. However, we would have liked if he had shared a source. This view is indeed the strongest of a certain number of views and was chosen by the great Arabic linguist al-Zamakhshari to explain the word Allah in his tafsir al-Kashaf. Unfortunately though, the veracity of AP does not extend further than this. He falsely equals the word al-Ilah with the word Allah. To get to the point, the aforementioned linguist al-Zamakhshari explains how they are different words and that the word Allah is not used to refer to any other being than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while the word Ilah is used to refer to all worshipped beings, whether they be the real one God or not. Once we have understood that Ilah is a mental genera that includes all worshipped beings, the meaning of al-Ilah also starts to become clear. For it to truly become clear, we need to examine the definitive prefix al. Since we do not wish to waste too much time, we will suffice to say that the prefix al in the context of al-ilah is very similar to the word the in English. What this all means is that the phrase al-ilah means the worshipped being. This word has, through the customary usage of the Arabs, has come to refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like how it refers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this phrase, "There is no God but the God." In a brief summary, the word ilah has an assigned meaning range that encompasses both the rightfully worshipped God and the fake gods that people have produced. When it is used with the definitive prefix al, it comes to mean the God. When it's Arabic being spoken, the God refers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the prevailing customs amongst the Arabs. But this also means that al-ilah doesn't necessarily refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It does so only because of the prevalent customs. However, the word Allah has only one assigned meaning, and that meaning is the rightfully worshipped being, who's one. If an Arab referred to a false god, such as the gods of the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Turks, this would be a distinctively wrong usage. However, if the word Allah is used loosely to refer to the God worshipped by the Abrahamic religions, this would be excused, as we believe that these religions share a single source. So the word Allah is not a title, it is the name of the being that truly deserves worship. Concluding our first counterpoint, it is not wrong to translate the word Allah as God, as the word God in the phrase God is great is not used to refer to the mental genus ilah as a whole, but it is used to refer to one particular member of this mental genus. What this means is that effectively there is a hidden definer before the word God, effectively making it mean the same as the phrase al-ilah. As we have demonstrated, there is nothing wrong with understanding al-ilah to refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Now that we have the misconception of God and Allah out of the way, let's come to what else is in that phrase. Allahu Akbar. Oh yes, the word Akbar. The Arabic word for great is not Akbar, it is Kabir. That's not only so in the history of the Arabic language, it's also used that way in the Quran, where the word Kabir is exclusively used for great or big. And Al-Kabir is also one of the names of Allah according to Islam, and it translates literally into the Great One. Also, if you ask any native Arabic speaker, he will probably also tell you that the word for great is Kabir, not Akbar. The word Akbar in Allahu Akbar is a higher form of the adjective Kabir, and it can be used in a comparative or superlative sense, which means it stands for greater or greatest. So, to make it very simple and understandable, if something is Kabir, it means it is great. If something is Akbar, it means it is greater or the greatest, and it defines supremacy. You don't have to be a genius or a scholar to find this out. You can simply go out there, research for yourself, and find this out in under 5 minutes.
In the regards to the word Akbar, it is indeed the comparative/superlative form of the word Kabir. Kabir means great. Then why do we Muslims not translate the phrase Allahu Akbar as God is the greatest? Fakhruddin al-Razi has explained this matter in his work titled Lawami al-Bayinat, in which he explains the 99 beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The simple fact is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot be compared to anything created we can conceive, and as such, the word Akbar is understood not to be comparative. Allah's subhanahu wa ta'ala greatness is categorically different than the greatness of all other beings. As such, His greatness is without modality. This is the reason why we Muslims prefer to translate Allahu Akbar as God is great.
After going through all of this, picture an Islamic terrorist again. He blows himself up in the middle of a crowd, and he doesn't just go and say Allahu Kabir. He doesn't get emotional and chants, "Oh, my God is great, boom." No, he goes into the crowd of infidels, hypocrites, and heretics and shouts Allahu Akbar, which means Allah, my God, is the greatest and He is supreme. My religion is supreme. It is greater than all of you and your false religions. My God is the greatest. And with that sense of supremacy, he goes into the crowd, blows himself up to injure and kill as many infidels and enemies of Allah as possible.
At the end of the video, AP makes some remarks about how making a declaration Allahu Akbar is actually a declaration of supremacy. As we have noted that there is no real comparison between other ilahs, in essence unrightfully worshipped beings, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the rightfully worshipped being. Considering the fact that Islam accepts that truth exists and makes a claim for it, this shouldn't be very strange. As for the terrorist that assumes that he's glorifying Islam with his action and serving Allah's will, he's only fooling himself. His actions are contrary to the teachings of Islam and will only achieve to further him away from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we're about to wrap up this episode, let us mention a few things. Multiple things were found to be inconsistent with AP's caricature of Arabic linguistics and Islamic theology. We hope our viewers once more learned something new and question their acts of AP for their ignorance and intellectual dishonesty. Join our Discord in the description below if you would like to join us in combating anti-Islam polemics and have your questions answered by qualified and educated members. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.